So we were just having a crazy conversation off mic, but we're gonna get into some. Basically, I mentioned that this series of rants and the audio is kind of a thing that's helping me. And originally, I was asking her about the drawing, if the drawing was something that she's kind of passionate about. But she has another answer here, so we're gonna get to it.
So something I'm passionate about is animals. Basically, when I was younger, I got into horses and I started doing horseback riding, and I got to the point where I think the animals just generally saved me. Like going through pet therapy and, my own dog, and I have a hedgehog actually, and I do horseback riding and I do jumping, and it's just, I do struggle with chronic leg pain, and I have since I was a young child, but just being around the animals just makes me feel connected in a way that I don't with other people.
So is it safe to assume that like a vet or something is something that you're in the future looking at, or do you just more or less like not so much a job but a passion, hobby?
So I don't actually want to become a vet. That's my option number 2. My first option is equine assisted therapy, which basically is going to be working with mentally and physically challenged children and adults, teaching them how to ride and work with horses.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So I guess now that we're in like a little positive stream of a conversation, what are some of the? I mean, we were just kind of going at Bell Let's Talk and so on a bit, but what are some of the positives you see now with the current state of mental health promotion and so on? Like you with the speaking engagements at young school, at kindergarten, right? 4 to 6, yeah. How much more of this do you think is necessary in order to kind of promote mental health awareness?
I think we should be talking about it everywhere, like all the time. I don't necessarily think we need maybe classes on it, but I feel like we should educate young people and fully well every year be aware of the mental health repercussions, not just one day of the year as we were talking about with the Bell Let's Talk, but 365 days of the year, where now and in December, now and in August. And I think like some of the positives, as you were talking about, is like that speaking arrangement would have never happened even 10 years ago. I would have never went to an elementary school, especially to just talk about mental health awareness. And I think like just keeping up with the conversation on mental health, basically interviews like this, and focusing on a lot of getting it out there, basically.
Another thing too with like speaking engagements and I guess podcasts and so on, do you find that like we talk about the getting out of your head kind of an idea, or not having many people to talk to? Do you think that, for example, I guess a lot of vloggers and people like that, YouTube people, they often talk about how the state of their mental health before they became YouTubers. And I'm not talking about like sensationalist YouTubers that like do stunts or whatever, but people that just kind of talk in front of the camera because it forces you out of your own head and you have to talk. What do you think about these kind of like audio or video as a way to help mental health? Maybe not necessarily social media, but the actual production of something.
I think it's so smart. I think it's, if we can, because a lot of what people say can help mental health is, being in nature and spending time with animals, which helps me personally. But a lot of the new age is spent online and is spent social media. And you were talking about YouTubers and, maybe not big people, but people who found solace in sharing their stories or sharing what they're good at online. And it's just, if we can connect helping people with their mental health journey and the new age, I think it's just so smart and so innovative of people who are trying to figure out ways to help themselves, who may not have access to, a dog to pet every day, but they may have access to Wi-Fi. They may have access to YouTube where they can share, their gaming strategies on GTA with their 1K followers. Like, I think that is just so smart to me.
Cool. All right. So I guess we're gonna end this off. Do you have any final thoughts or any kind of wisdom or advice to pass on to the listeners?
As for advice, I would say, one thing is you have to put yourself out there if you want the help. I know that for me, especially when I wanted help, I didn't know how to ask and I didn't know who to go to. And I find you just make the conversation open. Just start the conversation and it can lead to wonderful places.
Cool. Thank you for agreeing to this interview. It was very insightful and very deep. And I'm sure the listeners they have something to think on, at least, as we move forward, promoting mental health and so on. Thank you.